Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We're glad to have you with us this morning. My name is Father Don Nevins. I'm the pastor of St. Agnes Bohemia Parish here in Chicago, and a member of the Priests for Justice for Immigrants. We're here today with other members of the Priests for Justice for Immigrants, a network of 200 priests, and the Brothers and Sisters of Immigrants, a network of 59 religious orders, representatives also of the Office for Immigrant Affairs and Immigration Education of the Archdiocese of Chicago, as well as immigrant families, lay leaders, and other supporters to launch our program, Together as Brothers and Sisters campaign. This campaign highlights the urgent need for compassionate, comprehensive immigration reform and the upcoming actions and commitments by religious leaders to build support for this important issue. Since May 2005, the Archdiocese of Chicago and its bishops, priests, and religious congregations and lay leaders have been a voice for immigrants throughout the Catholic campaign for immigration reform, which the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops established to educate Catholics and the general public about the need for comprehensive immigration reform and to influence legislation for permanent and fair solutions to immigration issues in this country. Immigrant lay leaders are also actively involved in advocacy activities through the Immigrant to Immigrant Ministry, or Pastoral Migratoria, which has recently been established in 59 Hispanic parishes and 11 Polish parishes. The Together as Brothers and Sisters campaign brings communities of faith together to highlight the urgency for new immigration reform legislation. Hundreds and thousands of families are being separated. Entire communities continue to live in fear. And after years of advocating for solutions, Congress has made very little progress. Today we are renewed in our efforts to bring more support from parishioners, communities of faith, and elected officials for legislation that is compassionate, just, and keeps families together. The Together as Brothers and Sisters campaign reaffirms our commitment to support comprehensive immigration reform that provides a path to citizenship, preserves family unity, provides a pathway for low-skilled immigrant workers to come and work in the United States, restores due process protections to our immigration enforcement policies, and addresses the root causes of migration.
That's right.
We recognize the suffering so many people have endured as a result of our broken immigration system. Deaths in the desert, years in detention awaiting an immigration hearing, children left without parents, and a class of people marginalized in the shadows. We hear a bill is soon to be released by the Senate, but days pass and families continue to suffer. That's why today we pray for members of Congress and the Senate, specifically for the Gang of Eight, to hurry and move compassionate, comprehensive reform forward.
Hurry.
Families and communities cannot wait any longer.
Right.
The time is now.
Now.
¿Puedes decir algo en español en un resumen? So, buenos días a todos. Soy Padre Don Nevins, párroco de Santa Inés de Bohemia, aquí en Chicago. Uno de los sacerdotes por la justicia de los inmigrantes, que es conformado por más de 200 sacerdotes. También están presentes las hermanas y hermanos de los inmigrantes, un grupo conformado de 59 órdenes religiosas. También tenemos representantes de la Oficina de Asuntos Inmigrantes y Educación sobre la Inmigración de la Arquidiócesis de Chicago, familias inmigrantes y líderes laicos. El propósito de esta conferencia de prensa es anunciar nuestra nueva campaña, Juntos como Hermanos y Hermanas. La campaña se enfoca en demostrar la urgencia por una reforma migratoria compasiva y comprensiva. Hablaremos también sobre las diferentes actividades en las que nos hemos comprometido como líderes religiosos para aumentar el apoyo hacia este asunto tan importante. Cientos de familias están siendo separadas, comunidades enteras viven con miedo y después de años de estar luchando por soluciones, el Congreso ha hecho muy pocos avances. Hoy estamos renovando nuestros esfuerzos para traer apoyo de nuestros feligreses de las diversas comunidades de fe y de los oficiales electos para que pasen una ley compasiva, justa y que mantenga las familias unidas. La reforma migratoria que la campaña Juntos como Hermanos y Hermanas está impulsando requiere que la nueva ley proporcione un camino a la ciudadanía, preserve la unidad familiar, provea un camino para los trabajadores que pueden venir aquí a vivir y trabajar, restaure las protecciones de las políticas migratorias y que tome en cuenta las causas de la migración. Ahora con ustedes me gustaría presentar los obispos auxiliares aquí de Chicago, Monseñor Juan Mans, Monseñor José Perry, quienes presentarán la declaración del Cardinal. And so at this moment I'd like to introduce Bishop John Mans and Bishop Joseph Perry, who will give us some of the Cardinal statements on immigration reform.
Thank you, Father John. Good morning, everyone. I am Bishop Mans, will be representing Cardinal Francis George's statement and emphasis with some things that are seriously on his mind with regards to comprehensive immigration reform. As we all know, some stirrings in Washington have indicated to us that something is moving forward. We're not quite sure what, but the Cardinal has about 5 points he would like to offer that should be a part of the discussion, especially in the hearing of the sentiments of the Catholic community in this regard. He says our national political leaders are once again poised to address this issue. This is a critical moment, a time that the voices of the Catholic community and all faith communities need to be heard. Since 2005, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, through the Justice for Immigration campaign, has been working tirelessly to educate on and advocate for immigration reform. The Cardinal says he wishes to appeal to the Catholic community of Chicago and all people of faith and goodwill to come together, unified in purpose, to raise our voices as one in supporting the immigrant mothers, fathers, men, women, and children among us, and achieving a path to full participation in our country's life. I thank all of those who have continued to work tirelessly toward this goal. Now is the time to fix the broken system, a system that for too long has divided and devastated families through massive deportations, subjected them to mistreatment and discrimination by employers and others, and cast a crippling pall of fear among the immigrant community. I'm appealing to the Catholic people of Chicago to join with me, Cardinal George, with my brother bishops of the United States Catholic Conference, with priests and religious sisters and brothers in this critical moment in our nation's history, to join our voices with the voice of Jesus Christ, our Good Shepherd, to call our congressional leaders and administration to pass compassionate, comprehensive immigration reform legislation now. Such legislation must provide a path to citizenship for undocumented persons in this country, preserve family unity as a cornerstone of our national immigration reform, provide legal paths for low-skilled immigrant workers to come and work in the United States, restore due process protections to our immigration enforcement policies, and lastly, address the root causes of migration, such as persecution and economic disparity. The Cardinal's sentiments. Thank you.
Muy buenos días. Yo vengo de parte del Cardenal Francis George, también de parte mía. Yo soy el obispo John Mans. Hoy hay una conferencia de prensa muy importante aquí, ¿verdad? Porque vemos, yo, ¿verdad? Junto con los sacerdotes y hermanas y hermanos, ¿verdad? Para la campaña de la reforma de migración, ¿verdad? Aquí a nivel del país. Pero venimos también, ¿verdad? Porque el Cardinal ha lanzado una declaración muy a favor, diciendo que es un momento crítico ahora en el Congreso, ya todo lo hemos visto. Desde hace tiempo ha habido, ¿verdad?, momentos de esperanza que han caído, ¿verdad?, que no han resultado en nada, y ahora vemos que hay una buena posibilidad. Y el cardenal simplemente quiere enfatizar nuevamente que él, y como otros obispos y sacerdotes religiosos, laicos católicos aquí, estamos muy a favor de que muy pronto el Congreso pueda pasar, claro, con el apoyo del presidente, se supone, una reforma integral, ¿verdad?, de nuestro sistema de migración que ha sido en un sentido muy quebrado, ¿verdad? Muchas personas que están sufriendo ahora separación de familias, deportaciones, etc. Y queremos simplemente decir que ahora nosotros vamos a seguir, ¿verdad?, empujando esto, y queremos hablar a todos los católicos aquí, también todos los de buena voluntad, se puede decir, que alcemos las voces en estos días y nosotros apoyemos y dejamos saber a nuestros congresistas y demás lo importante que es algo urgente, es algo, como digo, hemos esperado tantos años, desde hace más de 8 años y todavía. Así es que el cardenal, junto conmigo, con el obispo Pérez, los demás aquí que están presentes, queremos simplemente anunciar esto, que haremos todo lo posible, ¿verdad?, de seguir empujando esto, ¿verdad?, de seguir poniéndolo se puede decir, en lo público, ¿verdad?, que ya es el tiempo, ¿verdad?, ya hemos esperado demasiado, ya vamos a hacer algo muy importante. Muchas gracias.
So thank you, Bishop Manns and Bishop Perry. Gracias a ustedes dos. Our call is about compassion, understanding, and long-lasting solutions for the millions of undocumented immigrants who are suffering and deserve a chance to fully realize the American dream. To talk about the devastating effects of the broken immigration system on families, we have with us today Cecilia Garcia, a member of St. Rita of Cassia Parish, a mother of 5 children. Ms. Garcia will share the reality that her family is currently experiencing due to the separation of her family. So, Cecilia.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. Yes, today, sadly enough, marks 6 months. 6 months ago, October 11th, 2012, my husband was driving from work on his way home with us. He was pulled over by Evergreen, a police department, because of an expired plate. This was the beginning of our nightmare. We never knew what was going to happen. I went and saw several immigration lawyers. No one could do anything for us, despite the fact that we are U.S. citizens, despite the fact that I was born here. Basically, they told us because of a previous deportation, he was not eligible. So since then, my husband was living in Mexico. He struggled finding work. And most of all, he was worried because of me being here with my 5 children here in Chicago. So he did what I think any father would do. He, out of desperation and frustration, decided to come back and re-enter the United States. He knew the risks that he would take, the abductions, the unbearable temperatures out there. He knew all that, and despite all that, he still decided to come in. Unfortunately, on October 21st, when he was departed, and he re-entered in January 20th of 2013, he was pulled over from ICE. There was him and 13 other members. They were lost, where the guide had left them there abandoned, without food, water. One of them had to be hospitalized because he suffered hypothermia. Now, the only thing I can tell you is that, and my children, it's been horrible. It's been a nightmare. The only thing that has made us continue is our prayers, our faith, and hoping and asking for them to do an immigration reform and to do it now. The only thing I feel like we are in prison and we have uncertainty what will happen next. This is literally destroying us, my family. I could only compare myself to an army wife whose husband is off on duty fighting for the freedom for all of us. My husband and I are fighting a different kind of freedom. We are fighting a war of injustice due to our immigration that's broken. We all know the effects that the separations of families have on children, and my children are no exception. Right. They have been affected emotionally, they are stressed and confused, and currently in therapy. My 6-year-old is worried that maybe I too may not come home one day like her dad. I have been told that I should move back with him to Mexico, but I ask you, why should I? My children and I were all born here. It would be much easier for me to just petition him if he met all the requirements, but because of his previous deportation, that is next to impossible. To conclude, there are days where I just want to curl up in a ball and not even leave my room or my house. However, I have no choice because I have 5 beautiful children that depend on me. Now, I'm just one of many immigrant stories of families who have given witness of families being torn apart. We need an immigration reform, and we need one now, so that history does not repeat itself. My only comfort is to know that what God has joined together, may no man tear apart. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia, and all of the Garcia family here with us today. The Sisters and Brothers of Immigrants have been working relentlessly to support those immigrants in detention by praying outside detention centers and doing other remarkable actions that have had a profound effect on immigrants and have carried the message to broader audiences. I'm very happy to introduce Sister Rose Therese Nolta, who is a Holy Spirit missionary sister and leader of the Sisters and Brothers of Immigrants. Sister Therese.
Thank you and good morning. I am here to share our commitment on comprehensive immigration reform. We, the Sisters and Brothers of Immigrants, are a collective voice for seeking justice for immigrants. And you just heard a very powerful story. And I think in our response, it is also a response of the heart, because we have heard these stories over and over again, and they need to stop. We are also doing this out of our gospel mandate. It tells us what we are to do. So we are making a difference in the lives of immigrants by service, but right now we need to work on comprehensive immigration reform. So one of the things is so important right now because the window of opportunity is so short, now until the end of June. So we have made a commitment to pray and to fast for immigration reform and to fast from things which would take away from that. And we are doing that in order that the Session 1 of the 113th Congress will pass a comprehensive immigration reform law right now. Here is a booklet of all of the commitments that we have made. And this is, I have one sample of community of sisters with 63 sisters promising to pray and fast for immigration reform and fast from things. And I think this is very important because without this power of prayer, without this energy of prayer being sent to Washington, I don't think we will get this done. We need to do it together, and we need to have this energy flow to our elected officials because this is not an easy task. We know that. So this is a very heart of our immigration reform commitment, is prayer. But we also, it's like a flower. We have another petal. We have also call-in days in which we encourage our elected officials to make a difference in really making a comprehensive immigration reform. We have also another petal of that is having postcards. We have also already sent postcards out electronically and printed. And when we get a bill, which we were hoping was yesterday, but it didn't happen, so that we can really make a difference with the bill that comes out, first by the Senate. The next thing we are doing is writing letters to the editor. Now I just heard that the Chicago Tribune will carry one of ours. So this is in order to share the concerns that we have, but also what are the elements of comprehensive immigration reform. And that we see the importance of comprehensive immigration reform. And the last pedal is personal visits to our representatives and senators in order to share our personal stories, our immigration stories that we hold in our heart, to share our concerns and also the elements that we have for the future for our immigration and for each family. And because this is why we are standing here, all of us today, because we see the importance of each family, of each person. And only together can we make a difference. So I invite all of you here also to make it a commitment to work for comprehensive immigration reform, because only if we do it together can we get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Rose Therese. We also have with us today Nayeli Bolaños, a member of St. John Bosco Parish and a dreamer. She qualifies for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA. Ms. Bolaños will share her story on the impact of the broken immigration system on young immigrants who call this country home and why legislative change is so important.
Good morning. My name is Nayeli Bolaños, and I come from St. John Bosco Parish. I am here representing Catholic Dreamers of Chicago in the Archdiocese of Chicago. I want to share with you today and tell you that I am a dreamer. I've been living here since I was 2 years old. My parents believed that my future was important and that I wanted something bigger and better. They had a vision that I was going to have the best in the United States. They were right. It is the best. And it is better, but I can't make any use of it. I am currently applying for DACA, Deferred Action for Early Childhood Arrivals. It is only a 2-year permit that would allow me to work legally and let me obtain my driver's license. But it is a short-term solution to a large problem. What happens after 2 years? What happens once this president is no longer president? What happens if Congress or the Senate decide to change it all again? I am still trapped because I don't count. Currently, I'm enrolled in college. My goal is to continue to do the same regardless of what happens. I want to become a registered nurse. I know I have to work a lot and I have to be patient, but I'm not giving up on my dream. At this moment in my life, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to keep. I'm sorry. At this moment in my life, I'm not going to stop dreaming. Several people in the spiritual retreat told me to take action. This is what I'm doing today. I'm going to push, pray until something happens. I know if I keep on praying and acting, something will happen, and my dream will be accomplished. Today, I ask you to pray for the DREAM Act, to help me and many others achieve the dream of finishing college or going to the military so that we can become citizens of the United States. However, don't just do it for the dreamers. Do it for my parents and thousands of others who are living in the fear and waiting for a comprehensive, compassionate immigration reform. I ask you today, senators and congressmen, don't you think it's time that we are heard? Today, we also want to invite you to join our social media part of the campaign. Through the Office of Immigrant Affairs Facebook page, you can find updates of our actions, and by following us on Twitter at TogetherBroSis, #OneICommit, to share with us your personal commitments for immigration reforms. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Nayeli, and Nayeli speaks for many, many dreamers throughout the whole area here of Chicago. Father Larry Dowling is the pastor of St. Agatha Parish and has been a leader from the beginning of the Priests for Justice for Immigrants. This network of priests has been working tirelessly to support compassionate, comprehensive immigration reform through advocacy and education activities in and beyond their parish communities. Father Dowling will talk about the commitments and upcoming actions by the Priests for Justice for Immigrants as part of the Together as Brothers and Sisters campaign. Father Larry Dowling.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We come together as brothers and sisters in Christ, recognizing that many of our brothers and sisters living among us and worshiping with us continue to dwell in the shadows of a society that refuses to acknowledge and embrace the cultural and individual gifts and talents of over 11 million men, women, and children who have migrated to this country. They have come here for a reason, because the opportunities to work were here when they were not present in their own countries. And they felt, like any parent or sibling, that they needed to do everything they could to support their families, even if it meant leaving a home and a homeland. Today we stand together in this pivotal moment in our nation's history. Pivotal because it means we honor over the over 237-year American promise of welcoming the immigrant, right, or we continue to ignore that promise by continuing to deport and break up families and keep those immigrants who are here in the shadows, still unrecognized for the gifts and talents they add to the American fabric. That is why at this time we are calling the Priests for Justice for Immigrants, are calling all priests in the diocese to participate in a number of different things to raise awareness and to engage our legislators and our parishioners in making this change. First thing that we are doing here is we are encouraging all priests to preach on the issue from a faith and human dignity perspective, particularly focusing on the weekends of Good Shepherd Sunday, April 21st, or April 28th. To invite dreamers to their parishes, those young people who have boldly stepped up in spite of the dangers of being deported to share their stories in our churches, including prayers each week at our Sunday services for the passage of compassionate, comprehensive immigration reform until such legislation has been signed into law, including bulletin articles each week linking the tenets of our faith to legislative action, and promoting a postcard campaign within our parishes calling congressional leaders to make immigration reform a reality now. We will also be partnering with others on legislative visits to make this dream happen for our immigrant brothers and sisters, a dream that we believe comes from the compassionate and inclusive heart of a loving God. I want to encourage, and I think everyone here has said we need to pray, and we believe very strongly that prayer doesn't change God, but prayer changes us. And our prayer is meant to help us to continue to fortify ourselves in the struggle, to encourage others to do that as well, and hopefully to change the hearts and give us the right ways to help change the hearts of those who are opposed to this legislation. We are standing in solidarity as one people here in the Archdiocese of Chicago with many people across the United States who are pushing for comprehensive, compassionate immigration reform. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks, Father Larry. In addition to the actions that both Sister Rose Therese and Father Larry have mentioned, there'll be a pilgrimage on Thursday, May 30th at 6 p.m. from 3 parishes from the north, the south, and the west sides of Chicago to Holy Family Church at 1080 West Roosevelt Road, followed by a prayer service at 7:30 p.m. with Cardinal George in support of immigration reform. As you've already heard today, the Together Brothers and Sisters campaign will keep us all very busy and with support from our parishes, from elected officials, and from other communities of faith. We are hopeful that our efforts, which will include collecting 100,000 postcards in our parishes, as well as sending thousands more online, will soon bring immigration reform legislation that helps stabilize the workforce, promotes family unity, and brings undocumented immigrants out of the shadows as members of their communities. Como escucharon hoy, la campaña Juntos como Hermanos y Hermanas nos tendrá bastante ocupados con todas las actividades mencionadas. Tenemos la esperanza de que nuestros esfuerzos, que incluyen colectar 100,000 postales en nuestras iglesias, así como enviar miles por Internet, pronto resultarán en una legislación de reforma migratoria que ayude a estabilizar a la fuerza laboral, impulse la unidad familiar y saque a los inmigrantes indocumentados de las sombras. Ahora estamos dispuestos a responder a preguntas que tienen. At this time, we would be willing to answer any questions that you might have.
Once the announcement is made, I'm sure it's going to start the whole process for hearings in Washington. Is there any plan for sending a representative there for the hearings?
Bishop Manns, would you know?
Well, through the USCCB, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, we have been lobbying for this, and there will be members of the Committee on Migration and Refugees, of which I'm a part. There will be people there constantly, both lobbying and present.
Okay.
I just came back from Washington, D.C. yesterday, and we're among many who were there before the Capitol, or behind the Capitol, and also we met with many of our representative and both of the senators here on immigration reform.
Sister was quick getting back. There are others that they're still on buses, I believe, on their way back. So, any other questions? Anything? ¿Es español? If not, okay. So to end the program and to formalize our commitments today, the priests and sisters will sing together as some of our brothers and sisters will sign the rest of these commitments that we have here. You see, many of them are already signed. We asked the priests and the brothers and sisters as they came to begin to sign. We would like to have just a few of us be the ones to sign the last empty spaces there as a conclusion.
Can you, there's poll vision here from the Polish, so you might want to have the Polish reporter ask a question of maybe one of the Polish nuns or one of the sisters.
Oh, sister?
To
Okay.
say something in Polish with all of us in the background.
Okay.
Okay.
Do it at one running? Okay.
This is better with all of us, if you don't mind. If you don't mind.
If you want to?
with all of us.
Okay.
Do it,
Sister?
so that the Polish community knows the full support of all of us.
You can ask me in Polish.
Please speak in Polish, one sentence, two sentences about how important is today to launch of this approach.
W Chicago jest bardzo wiele polskich emigrantów, to jest wiadomo. I w ostatnim czasie wlano w nasze serca pewną nadzieję, ponieważ ta szansa Dream Acts dla młodych ludzi, żeby mogli studiować, jest to jakieś światło. Niemniej jednak bardzo wiele rodzin cierpi z powodu rozłączenia. Także jest wiele sytuacji, gdzie niestety polskie rodziny są rozdzielane i mężowie wracają do Polski, są deportowani. Odwiedzamy z siostrą jeszcze jedną i coraz więcej Polaków się włącza, naszych braci emigrantów w więzieniu deportacyjnym i widzimy, jak wielkie jest to nieszczęście, zwłaszcza dla dzieci. Także dziękujemy, że jest możliwość wspólnej modlitwy i walki wspólnej o to, co jest istotne i ważne.
If I could ask Bishop Manns, Bishop Perry, Father Dowling, and Father Jeremy Thomas, you come forward. No, I don't want you to sing. No. I'm going to ask you to sign on this side. The rosaries.
We have people who are going to do that.
Yeah. So okay. On this side. And Father Ed Shea will lead us in a song here as we. Let us build a house where love can dwell and all can safely live. A place where saints and children tell how hearts learn to forgive. Built of hopes and dreams and visions, rock of faith and vault of grace. Here the love of Christ will end these visions. All are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place. Here as one we claim the faith of Jesus. All are welcome, all are welcome, all are welcome in this place. As we share
in Christ, the feast that frees us. All are well.